Hello YouTubers! Well, we got our hard lines in, and a nice new hard line with a nice fresh nut going into our new brake hose. I didn't bother documenting it. It was just a lot of frustrating hard work. The fitting of the hoses was pretty good. These lines were good. I mean, they were close. It's not perfect. It's not ever going to be factory, you know. It's going to take a little jiggling, a little bending. I got it going through the hole up to the distribution block for the fluid. And the kit came with new master cylinder lines, alright? New master cylinder lines, but we just did that. And there's nothing wrong with those lines, so why even disturb all that? My fittings aren't rounded, nothing's damaged. We're just going to do more damage than good by putting these in. Plus, I'm not liking the way this one looks. Check this out. This goes to the distribution block from the master cylinder, but it's not exactly the same shape, is it? They put a weird little bend on it. I don't know. What I really don't like is how this is kind of bent inward. So you can see that it's not... I mean, it might work. Like I say, you'd have to bend it a little bit. Is it worth doing? Probably not. These ones are fine. The important thing is that the outboard ones going to the new brake hoses are fresh, clean, and have good nuts. So that if we ever need to service that caliper again, we can just use a regular flare wrench, and undo it. They're not rounded and not corroded. Got these old formed hard lines off the Vega. These ones, you can see the nuts that go into the brake hose. They're kind of rounded and chewed up. Remember, we had to use vice grips to get them to turn. And same deal on this one. Not a very pretty looking nut on that. That's why I put new hard lines in. And I gotta say that Right Stuff kit was pretty close. There were some differences here and there in the bends, and especially where it lines up with the hose, you have to finagle it a little bit. But that's to be expected for aftermarket. They do the best they can with their auto-catted tube bending thing, but in the end you will have to do a little work. It's always a little bit of work. And the brake hoses, gosh, there's a clip on the brake hose on the front, and then there's the GM clip on the back, and it's just a nightmare. But I found by taking off the brake hose clip and putting the brake hose in the cutout so that the oval shape is in the oval shape of the metal tab, that worked great, because I was able to put the back clip on, then pull it in the hole and slide that horseshoe one that came with the hose back on, and that worked. But all this has to be done in unison with tying on the new line, because it's fairly rigid and you don't want to mess up the threads. So you want to get it started while everything's loose. Get it started, and then you can tighten up the hard line to the hose, put all your clips on, etc. Anyway, the important thing is it's done. Worked out. And since the hose is in a slightly different place now, not perfectly centered in that hole. Part of that hole showed the old orange paint, so I got some rubberized undercoating and just touched up this undercoating around the area that I just repaired. And for masking, to mask that brake line, you just use tin foil. You wrap tin foil around it. See how easy that is? It's quick, it's easy, and it does a great job. And then I put a bag over my new rotor to keep it from getting any overspray. I'm going to keep it looking pretty. This one was really hard because it had to go behind the engine. At GM, they probably put all the brake lines in before they put the engine in. So I had to fight, you know, heater hoses and fuel lines. I ended up disconnecting my fuel line to get that line back in there. You can see it down there, and it's pretty close. It doesn't lay exactly like the original. I still got to put all the retaining clamps back on if it will allow it. I mean, it may be that they stick out a little too much, I don't want to do any damage to it. I cleaned these up too while I had them out, washed them, degreased them, wire wheeled them, and painted them. One was blue. I don't know if it's specific, but I'm going to put it back where I found it. And then the other one was black, but I like silver. I painted all my nuts, cleaned off all the nuts. So all that'll go in. I need to get a new piece of evap hose for the charcoal canister. The one in there is 50 years old and pretty hard. It's just normal vacuum line stuff, no big deal. But yeah, how about that? New solid brake lines and brake hoses and rebuilt calipers. And then the back, for the back, I've ordered new wheel cylinders. I found some new old stock drums, and I have over here a brake kit for it, for the rear. Look at that, that's a new old stock GM one. So it'll have brand new rear brakes with pretty recent front pads on the fronts. Because like I said, I gave it a brake job when I was driving it 6-7 years ago. I packed the grease in the wheel bearings and I put those new pads on thinking that that would help it stop, but it was obviously the mud in the calipers. Now all that's gone, and soon all of it will be gone from the wheel cylinders too. Oh yes, I had to get a special tool too, because the Vega brake drums are really weird. There's a spring system in there and these little levers, and you need this special tool to hold them apart while you work on it. I got one off eBay for $5, something like that, $10 maybe. So that'll be coming, that'll be good. And then we'll get this thing on the road. Maybe I'll take you guys for a drive in the country when all's said and done. And we'll stop! How about that? Some WOA to the GOA. Always important. Okay. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.